So in this video, I am going to take you through why the anxious preoccupied attachment styles are actually the most likely to get broken up with the earliest on in relationships. So I had this client, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago, and she was such an amazing person. She had like every great quality that you could hope to have. She was super friendly, super kind, had a really good heart, was in a great place in her career, had lots of great friendships, just like a really fantastic person, was well put together, very pretty, like just all these wonderful things. And yet, this individual came to me because she said, I never really make it past the 3-month mark in a relationship. And I can't figure out what's wrong with me or what I'm doing wrong and what's happening. And it was really distressing her, and rightfully so. And so you could almost see as she was describing the experience how her conscious mind was analyzing it, going like, what am I doing wrong? What's happening? I don't understand why. And the trick to understanding this and the trick to changing it exists at the subconscious level of mind. Because, as you know, if you watch this channel, your subconscious and unconscious mind collectively are responsible for 95 to 97% of your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, behaviors, decisions. So, there's a few things you really want to understand. First and foremost, the anxious preoccupied, if you're not already familiar with attachment styles, is one of four major attachment styles. There are four only. We all have an attachment style, and the anxious preoccupied often presents as the needy or clingy one in relationships. And this is largely due to different abandonment wounds they've carried since childhood because of the fears of abandonment, whether it's real abandonment or perceived abandonment that really conditions the subconscious mind to continuously fear it more and more. So, one of the first reasons anxious preoccupieds are the most likely to get broken up with most often and early in relationships is because they are often most attracted to emotionally unavailable people. Why? Why is this happening? Especially if you know that you want somebody who's ready to settle down, if you have that on your checklist of things that are important to you or even that are non negotiable. Well, it's because the subconscious mind is very, very attracted to familiarity. It wants what's familiar. And it's because what's familiar feels safe and equates to survival for the subconscious mind, which is at the end of the day, mostly survival oriented. So, what do I mean by this? Why is it familiar? Well, first and foremost, because in your past or in your history, it often is because of your experiences. You probably, because of that real or perceived abandonment that created the anxious preoccupied attachment style in the first place, caused you to have a comfort zone around people who are not fully present or who were ready to abandon you. But I have a question for you. If you're an anxious preoccupied and that happened all the way back in childhood, and it's probably been decades since your childhood, how has that stayed so familiar? Well, only because you've kept that set of patterns and programs alive in the relationship to yourself, in the way you treat your own feelings, in the way you deprioritize your needs and you put your needs last behind everybody else's because you people please everybody else, in the way that you don't really share your truth in terms of your boundaries, what's okay for you or what's not. So, because you are so emotionally unavailable to yourself and dismissive of yourself, you maintain that comfort zone, and then your subconscious mind goes out and ends up investing in and being the most drawn to and interested in emotionally unavailable people. To second that, as sort of a part B here of that, is that when we meet somebody for the first time, okay, let's say you spend half an hour speaking with somebody. When you first meet somebody, your conscious mind is only picking up roughly 40 to 60 bits per second of information. Your subconscious and unconscious mind take in up to a billion bits per second of information. So while you might be like, well, how could I possibly keep investing in the wrong people who are emotionally unavailable? Maybe you see that that's you. Maybe you see that you've been doing that, but you're going, how is this possible? I don't see myself like, how do I choose somebody so quickly in the first 30 minutes of meeting them and then end up with an emotionally unavailable person? Well, it happens because you pick up a tremendous amount of information that you may not be consciously realizing. So you pick up on the way somebody stares at you, how long they stare at you for, how long they maintain eye contact, their micro expressions, their body language towards you, whether it's open or closed, their patterns of behavior and their interactions with you overall, their intonations and their tone of voice. All of these things are actually building out a web of information at the subconscious level of mind, even if you're not necessarily consciously realizing all of it. So it's really important, if you want to move the needle on this stuff and stop investing in people that are not ready to invest back in relationships, to do the reprogramming work on your own subconscious mind and in the relationship to yourself. I'm going to go into the two other things that you need to know about this, but if you want to do a deep dive into it, the Anxious Preoccupied Reprogramming course will give you all the major tools about what you need to know for how to recondition your subconscious mind in relationship to how you meet your needs, your boundaries, express yourself, recondition your fears around abandonment, that panic feeling you get in your body when somebody doesn't call you back or you're waiting on a text. It will help you have the tools to move through all of those things and really recondition them, because you're not born with all of these fears and feelings and experiences. They happen through conditioning, and you can leverage conditioning principles to recondition them so they don't have to be there with you 24/7. So anyways, you can check out that course for free for 7 days using the link down below. So another really important thing that happens is you already often invest in people who are not ready, but then another secondary thing that happens a lot with anxious preoccupied individuals is that you're often so, it's like, think of your needs as being these buckets, and they're running on empty because you're not meeting your own needs. You're not filling your bucket halfway, right? It's like your gas tank's on empty and you have to get somewhere, and you're running out of gas. What ends up happening is naturally anxious preoccupieds are more likely to put a little bit more pressure on their relationships in terms of the timeline. And also in terms of, we'll put the number 2 and 3 together here, in terms of the timeline, but also in terms of the responsibility you may put on somebody else to meet your needs for connection, for consistency, for reassurance, for validation, to feel good enough. When often what's happening is because those things are running on empty within you, not because it's your fault, but because of past events that happened that led your subconscious mind to be conditioned in that way, there can be this extra pressure put on relationships, both for commitment and certainty and reassurance, but also, and that timeline of how quickly you expect that to happen, but also how much you expect that person to be available, to text all the time, to meet those needs, to spend time with you. And sometimes to the point of codependency, where you can really be afraid of that person pulling away or doing something with their friends on weekends without you, or having that sort of sense of self. But remember what we said is number 1, you often attract emotionally unavailable people who also have their core wounds, which usually are things like fear of being trapped, fear of feeling unsafe or being stuck or helpless or powerless to change something. And so a lot of these things, and people with really high needs for freedom and autonomy and independence. And so often what happens is you attract these people, and then basically exactly the things you're most afraid of not having met, you put pressure on that person, and that triggers exactly their biggest core wounds. And you can see it go around and around. You have this fear of abandonment, so you put more pressure on the relationship for more closeness or consistency. That triggers that person's core wounds or fears of feeling trapped. So then they pull away as an attempt to escape their fears, which then causes you to feel more afraid of abandonment. And then it goes around and around in a circle. I actually call these our primary trigger patterns, where exactly our biggest core wounds, how we respond to them, tends to trigger our partners or person we are dating's biggest core wounds. And believe it or not, every single relationship has this. I have a whole course that talks about that inside PDS called the How to Heal Any Relationship course. You can also check that out for free if you want in the link down below. But when we look at these different dynamics and how this happens, it easily wears away at the relationship. And because the AP is not going to be the one to leave the relationship most often, then they end up accidentally pushing somebody else away. And so it's like, despite having everything going for you, I mean, the vast majority of the time APs are like, have a great heart, are such good people, are kind, are thoughtful, are supportive, are smart, are charismatic, are great at connecting with others, are, attractive and put themselves together and care. They tend to just have all these great things, and yet they go through these cycles over and over again. So I have some exciting news, which is that we are doing $1,000 off of our lifetime membership sale to the Personal Development School, which means you get access to literally everything at PDS for your entire rest of your life. Essentially, that entails all of our different courses you have lifetime access to. I do 4 live webinars a week, every single week. You can access them ongoing, and you get access to all of our daily community events. So I'd love to see you on the other side, and you can access it by using the link in the description box below. And so it's because of this subconscious programming that this is happening. And by learning about this and understanding it and how to change it, we can get rid of these patterns once and for all. And it really doesn't take much time. Simple reprogramming tools, you can learn those tools in literally less than an hour and a half in that course that I mentioned down below. So if this is something you see yourself struggling with, please check it out. You have a free 7 days to go through that course, more than enough time to get through that course. And I hope you enjoy. And then the other thing I'll share is we also have hired internal personal development school coaches. I've actually trained with them over the past year and shared all the tools and basically everything I know with them and trained very intensively over the past year with them as well. So if you want to learn more about them, you can click the link below. Or if you want to check anything out that we have going on at PDS, you can use those links down below as well. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this video and this made sense to you, I put daily free videos out here on YouTube every single day for you to learn all about integrated attachment theory, which is the new attachment theory, your relationships, the subconscious mind, communication, reconditioning, healing, growth, expansion, all the things you need to know to thrive, not just in your personal life and relationships, but really in all of the areas of life overall. So I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell down below if you don't want to miss any of these daily videos. And I would love to. I'd look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video.